Hey, everybody, I'm Dan Davidson.
And I'm Bill Smith, and it's time for the news from TrekNews.net. Spanning the Alpha Quadrant. For all the news on all the Star Treks, yo.
Brian.
It's TrekNews.net.
Akuchi Moya, sir.
Online at TrekNews.net. I see you went for Family Guy this week. That's pretty good.
I was trying to think of spinning it up a little bit.
Well done, buddy. Welcome to the news from TrekNews.net, the oldest brand new Star Trek news podcast from Trek Geeks for the week of October 22nd, 2020. Dan, we are joined this week by a special guest to talk about a huge story that broke last week about the biggest Star Trek event in just about any given year.
Yeah, we sure are, man. We're very excited that for the first time we're going to have a guest with us here, officially from TrekNews.net, to talk about the news from TrekNews.net.
Eminently logical.
It's pretty awesome. His name is Kyle Hadyniak, and he is here to join us for the first time, and not for the last time, I don't think either.
Kyle Hadyniak, welcome. It's good to have you here.
Hey guys, how's it going? Dan, I appreciate the Family Guy reference in the beginning. Thank you.
Well, I got to say also, as Bill is I'm sure laughing his butt off on the inside, we went through the pronunciation of your name at least a half a dozen times before we recorded, and I was able to do it before we recorded, but then, as always, I screwed up. So
it's okay.
Anyway.
I appreciate the effort.
Hadyniak.
There we go.
There it is. Top shelf, buddy. Well,
Take 27.
Yeah, the news here is that things are status quo with Dan Davidson's language
God.
Well, gents, the big story this week is that Creation Entertainment has canceled the rescheduled Star Trek Las Vegas, which was set for December, and announced that it will occur next August back at the Rio All Suites Hotel in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, and rebranded as the 55-year Mission Tour.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get into details of that. The other news that seems to have been buried in Creation's announcement is the fact that they're apparently no longer licensed to have Star Trek conventions. So, Kyle, help us make some sense of this one, man.
Yeah, so on the surface, it is kind of too bad that CBS is not adding their name, to the convention. That just means you won't see, the CBS logo up on in the convention hall next year. But I think people should know that this, for all intents and purposes, it sounds like the same kind of convention you're used to. If you take a look at the guest list, if you take a look at the events and the things that Creation is still doing, it's going to be a wildly good time no matter what. It just won't have the CBS name to it.
I think that's a fair statement. I think the thing that concerns a lot of fans is that in the last couple of years, CBS has literally taken the cast of Star Trek Discovery and put them on a plane from Toronto and sent them to Las Vegas to be at this con, providing them a break in the shooting schedule. And I think that the doubt is that that's going to happen with a non-CBS sponsored or authorized or licensed convention.
So on Creation Entertainment's website right now, you have a list of confirmed guests so far, and you have folks from Discovery, you have folks from Picard, and of course all of the other incarnations of Star Trek. So I certainly hope to see familiar faces, some of the newer faces in the franchise, to be here and to give fans a good time for sure.
Now, let me ask you this, guys. As we know, in our heart of hearts, it's STLV. It's always been STLV, but now officially it's not STLV. Do you think that STLV hashtag is just going to carry on forever? I certainly think it is.
I do. I think that people are going to call it Star Trek Las Vegas simply because they're going to a Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. Kyle?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think you'll see, all those references to the famous franchise, the famous location. It just won't be, in the official capacity that we may be used to. And people may not care. They may still love putting on Twitter and Facebook that, we're going to see a Star Trek convention in Las Vegas and call it good,
So the other interesting thing that kind of goes along with this, or at least in parallel, is that on the ReedPop website, which is another very large convention organizer, which holds some events like Star Wars Celebration across the United States at various points, they now have some verbiage on their website that seems to lend to Star Trek, telling people that they're going to boldly go where cons essentially haven't gone before. It's kind of interesting that ReedPop could be an official partner for CBS. It just hasn't been announced.
I think that it'll be interesting to see if that announcement comes sooner rather than later. I also think it'll be very interesting to see if they do end up taking over the official conventions. Will it be something that we're used to seeing the huge one in STLV with Creation, but then there are other ones scattered across the country all through the year. Are they going to do something similar? Are they going to have a massive one like Las Vegas in a different location that may be more centralized in the United States? Or are they going to, maybe pick LA or Las Vegas or somewhere in Texas? Who knows? It'll be very interesting to see what happens if and when that announcement comes.
Yeah, I agree. And I think no matter what, no matter who's actually hosting the event, with CBS behind it, considering where they are with the franchise right now, where you have all these shows, all this merchandise, etc., the Star Trek's in a really good place with CBS, and CBS knows it. And they're going to put all of their efforts, all their resources behind whoever they sign with to do these conventions. And I'm sure we will see some big convention like Star Trek Las Vegas, and it'll be a place for fans to flock to celebrate Star Trek.
Now, when looking at ReedPop, I know there's been a little bit of discussion amid fandom about what locations they could choose. Dan alluded to that a bit earlier. Orlando seems to be on the table simply because of the amount of convention space that exists in Orlando. New York City is clearly on the docket because ReedPop ran Mission New York for the Star Trek 50th anniversary, and it was a convention that went amazingly well in CBS's eyes. Vegas, from what I hear, is still in the running, and I think that's the one that gives me I don't want to say pause or concern, but it certainly presents an interesting situation for Creation, depending on when that other con is scheduled. Does it dilute the 55-year mission tour if it happens? And is there the possibility for competing for those same convention dollars, guys?
That's a great point. People may not have, the willingness to spend money on two big conventions, and especially if these people usually go for the higher tier options. They're going to have to pick and choose, and that may boil down to which convention offers what, where the convention is, etc. And so, yeah, I would be really curious to see if that case did arise, who would come out on top.
I'm extremely torn, to be honest with you guys, because STLV is a place to go to connect with the Star Trek family, not necessarily to go to the convention events. At least for me, it has been for several years now, and I'm sure a lot of people think the same way. But with that being said, let's just say for the sake of argument that ReedPop is the one that takes us over, and they decide to have it at Orlando. You know how I feel about Orlando, Bill. Mm-hmm. I would be down there in a second and probably not go to STLV because, as Kyle just alluded to, people aren't going to spend that much money on two conventions. They're going to have to pick one. And if there's that competition in place somewhere, it's going to be really difficult to decide exactly what to do.
Well, and ReedPop is in a position where they get to sit back and see what Creation does to some extent. Right. It's not a shock to people that Creation is expensive, and they've gotten gradually more expensive year over year. Especially even just general admission. A weekend pass for general admission is close to $400 now, whereas it used to be like $30 a day back in the day. So if people are going to make a high dollar spend, I guess it's going to depend on which con offers what guests and what opportunities. Creation has going for them the fact that they guarantee everybody a seat in the main auditorium. And depending on where ReedPop has their con, that may not be the case. So I know it wasn't the case at Mission New York because there's just not that kind of capacity in the theater at the Javits Center. So it's going to be interesting to follow and see. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Let's pretend that you have the vacation dollars to go to Las Vegas, and both cons are going to be there within about a month of each other. Which one would you go to, Kyle?
Well, I think this is a case where competition is going to be good for the consumer because these hosts will try to get the bigger guests, get the bigger guest list, do the bigger events, and so ultimately, I think I would probably look at the guest list, see who's who and from which series, because maybe more cast from one series or like a full cast reunion from one series compared to just maybe here and there guests, which probably sway me because you go for the experience, you go to see the celebrities, and that's probably who I would base mine off of.
Dan, what about you?
Well, what I'm going to say is kind of harsh. I don't mean to badmouth anyone at all, but it's gonna come across as that way. We all know, we've been talking about it right now, that Creation over the last few years has really jacked up prices. We have heard through talking with people in the vendors room and certain particular Star Trek people that they don't really treat their guests or the people that are there to represent Star Trek in the best of ways. We've heard some stories. And I got to say it, going back to the Rio, come on, man. What the hell? They were talking about how great it was going to be at this new location if it was going to be held in December. Everybody knows how dilapidated the Rio is. It's got a great venue. It's big. It's got that size room for everybody to have a seat. But yeah, so it's going to come down to where Reed Pop is having it. Like Kyle said, Reed Pop and CBS, if it's a Reed Pop, is going to have the ability to sit there and look at what's going on, and they can do anything they want based on the fact that they have the license, and they'd be able to one up anything that Creation does, in my opinion. If I was a betting man right now, I'd be going to the Reed Pop one.
You know, it's interesting. I think the biggest lie in the Creation release is that they described the Rio Convention Center as state of the art. Maybe it was 25 years ago.
And you know, Bill, I have to say on that, when I read that, I actually had to read it twice to make sure that they said the Rio and weren't referring to the new place that they were going to hold it in December. It just blew my mind. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's going to be proof for an interesting lead up to next August. Hopefully, the world will be in a much more healthier place where convention season kicks off as normal. But it looks like Trekkies are going to have an embarrassment of riches potentially in the convention department, and yay for all of us, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Kyle, thank you so much for joining us for the news this week. Tell us, where can people find you on social media to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so on Twitter, you can hit me up directly at KHADY93, KHaddy93. I'm super creative with my Twitter handle. And otherwise, check out treknews.net. I'm posting stuff all the time. I write the reviews for the website, so you can check out my Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Discovery Season 3 stuff. That's all up there.
Love them.
Absolutely. Great job, Kyle, and thanks so much for coming by. That does it for the news from treknews.net for the week of October 22nd, 2020. Remember, for all the news on all the Star Trek CO, please visit our great friends at treknews.net. Have a great week, everybody. Live long and prosper.
Coconut Hadyniak.
What the hell?
Well, that's a new one.
Yep. Coconut.